I do know that you kind of have a history of seeking out directors, like with the Safdie brothers in Good Time. You pursued them, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I just take if you're doing smaller kind of strange movies, it takes too long to kind of, if you're just waiting for it to come to you. And I was. I'm used to being in the position, but none of that stuff would ever have come to me unless you were kind of seeking it out and really kind of knocking on doors. And then once it's worked a couple of times, then you're like, wow, why don't I just do this all the time? If I like someone's movie, I just always kind of approach them afterwards and just say, you know, if you want a craft service person or anything, then I'm in. And it kind of works, and it's nice as well that people, I guess most people are making movies, especially in globally, you're kind of working in a vacuum as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people, I'm seeing their movies years after the fact, after they've been out, so it's kind of odd for them to suddenly get an email saying, I just saw this movie you made in 2007, and it's amazing, and I want to do whatever you're doing next. And I think it's nice to give people that enthusiasm as well.
And I assume people have been pretty responsive when they get an email from you.
Not always.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, most people are pretty, yeah, it's kind of, I guess that's why you're making it. I mean, because not a lot of people would be, unless something's really huge, you know, not a lot of people are contacting you afterwards. If something's just been at a festival and it hasn't got a massively wide release or something, I mean, things are forgotten about quite quickly, and so unless you're trawling for little gems everywhere, I think people are quite pleased when you found something years later.
So how did you sort of discover Robert? Because he's only made one film before this, The Witch, which I love, but I mean, I guess this makes that look like a blockbuster. Because at least that was in kind of, yeah. But I mean, it was a very small film, although it did very well, I should say. So did you just reach out to him on the basis of that?
Yeah, I think anybody who sees The Witch, like every performance is pretty great in it, and it's just so specific, and it's not pandering to anyone. It has, I think he has a lot of respect for the audience to kind of. You can make things pretty strange and pretty. You have to kind of go with it a little bit as an audience member. It's definitely, he doesn't really make movies that are spoon feeding you or anything.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to work with someone like that. And he's very stubborn and very clever and very strong, and he makes the movie that he wants to make, and that's the best type of people to work with.
Did he have a script for this, or did he just have an idea when he first spoke to you?
No, the script was completely done.
Wow.
And it was, I think, one of the most informative conversations I'd had with him was when I just asked him, how did you come up with this idea? And he's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep that feeling. I keep thinking it's like when you have a dream. If you have a dream and you can kind of connect it to a memory or something that's happened in your recent past or something, it's always like, it's kind of interesting to define something, but when you have that dream which makes you question your entire soul, like that's kind of more interesting, and I kind of wanted to keep that feeling.
And at what point did he say, if this isn't weird enough, we're going to shoot it in black and white on 16mm?
That was the first page of the script. It said and the audio is in mono. And I was like, what does that even, I don't even know what that means. Yeah, he was very, very, very particular. And the Academy ratio as well, that was in the script as well.
It was so jarring the first time I saw it on a screen, like where are the edges? And then you get so immersed into the world, you do sort of forget about it.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that's what it's sort of like working on one of his sets.
Definitely. I mean, other than the camera, it was basically happening. I like how the Academy ratio makes everything. It makes your body look quite funny. Like it kind of gives a comedic aspect to the way you move. It kind of looks like that kind of busted kind of thing.
Perfect for black and white sailors.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you guys aren't sailors. You just watched The Lighthouse. It just occurred to me.
Yeah, I called it a windmill in camp.
Did you really? The windmill? That could be the sequel. Your primary, practically only scene partner in this movie is the legendary Willem Dafoe. I don't know if you get intimidated by people, but when did you find out he was going to be your co-star, and how do you cope with that?
I found out. I mean, he was I think he might have been the only person that Robert went to, and I just kind of knew. I mean, he's so massive that you kind of. I knew he was going to bring something crazy because his part. I mean, it's such a wonderful part for him as well, and he had this great monologues and stuff. And I knew he was going to just have so much anarchical energy, and I was very intimidated. But it's always helpful when the part calls for you being intimidated by someone.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he's like very, very lovely. But it's strange that it's kind of doing a movie like that when you're just trapped in a room with someone. I mean, that you couldn't really ask for something better than doing these little one-act plays with genius.
I always wonder, and I would actually ask him this question too, because you're both so powerful in this movie. Do you ever have those moments where you forget you're acting and you just like stare and say like, that was really good?
The moment at the end when he turns into whatever it is that he turns into. I mean, there are a couple of moments when he started laughing, when he's spewing up the black bile, and he just has that face when he's like, and I mean, it was genuinely. I mean, I was watching the movie in the scene.
I mean, it also looks like it was a tough shoot. I mean, you're on a rock, you've got weather. I know some of that is, the world of make-believe, but it looked like a tough shoot.
None of it's make-believe.
Really?
Just,
the weather just provided itself for you.
It was, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, we're just outside the whole time. I mean, it's when it's raining in the movie, it's raining.
Wow.
And you kind of realize how amazing wool is as a fabric.
And facial hair. Nice to have the facial hair.
You get any raindrops in your mouth?
I'm actually curious if you went out and about with that facial hair.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does something. I mean, I've always looked at guys with moustaches and thought, how can you do this to yourself? and then you have it on, and you are treated a little, especially when you're in a lobster fishing village. You definitely get a little bit more respect when you have the moustache on. The day I shaved it off, I was very emasculated afterwards.
Did you and Willem sort of hang out in that town at all to prepare, or?
Yeah, and it's not an enormous. There wasn't an enormous amount to do there, but yeah, it was. I mean, it's a really lovely place. It was kind of just very, very quiet. And you kind of. I think there's one supermarket. I mean, I think it must. I always find it fascinating when you go to town. I don't think that town ever thought that there'd be a movie shooting there, and it's kind of lovely when all the locals visit. I guess it was kind of exciting.
Oh, really? Would they come out to watch? I guess they could.
I think it was just, I think even they were like, what are you guys doing? No one should be outside right now.
That's amazing. I mean, you might have just answered this, but you're required to do so much in this film, physically and emotionally. What ended up being the most challenging part? I heard you could barely see half the time.
Oh, because of the lights. That was the one, I think the first scene we did, all of the stuff inside the main part, when we're eating with each other, that's what we shot first. And because it's on black and white 35mm negative, and using the lenses, I can't remember what the lenses were called, but there were lenses from the 20s and 30s, and the amount of light that you needed just to get anything on the negative was, I mean, you essentially had a spotlight in your face, and I think both me and Willem were like, oh wow, so you're completely blind. I was thinking that is what every actor was experiencing in the 30s, and I was like, how did anyone do anything? I mean, you just see a silhouette of the other actor just haloed in light, and that's it. I mean, you have no idea what's going on. But it's kind of fun. It's almost like shooting a scene underwater.
And probably helps with the intimidation if you can't actually see Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, no idea. You never know when a bit of like fish is going to come out of his mouth.